As you've been playing these line and space exercises in your manual, you may have noticed some patterns in what happens when you're playing line notes and space notes. On page 50 of your manual, they talk about these patterns, and they're usually referred to as steps and skips. I want to talk about the skips first because that's what you've mostly been playing as you've been playing your line and space note exercises. So here they're showing that if you were going from one line note to the very next line note in the clef, that means that you're going to be skipping the space note in between. And so if you're going to be playing this line note in the treble clef, which happens to be the G, then if you're going to play G to the next line note, you're going to be skipping the A key and playing the B. So anytime you go from one line note to the very next line note, you're going to be skipping the space note. So you're going to be skipping a key in between. You'll see the same pattern follows when you're going from B, skipping the space note C, going to the very next line note. So you're going from line note to line note. So you're going to be playing this B, skipping this key, which is the C, and then playing the D. So please notice those patterns when you're playing from one line note to the very next line note. The same concept applies to our space notes. And so if you were playing from one space note to the very next space note, you would then be skipping the note that is found on the line. And so if I had this space note here, which is an A in the treble clef, you would be playing the A on the piano, skipping the next key, because that would be the line note, and then playing the C here. So you'd be going from this key, skipping over to this key. You'd be skipping the line note here in the middle. When it comes to our steps, anytime we're going from, say, a space note to the very next line note, you're not going to be skipping anything in regards to the white keys. And so if you were to start on this A, go directly to the very next line note, then there would be absolutely no skips. You'd be stepping from this key to the very next key. And then from this line note to the very next space note, there would be absolutely no skips, just stepping from this key to the very next key. So please use these patterns as you're practicing and playing. If you see a line note going to the next line note, you know you're going to be making a skip. If you see a line note going to the very next space note, you know you're going to be making a step. On page 51 of your manual, they now have some exercises that they would like you to do, paying attention to the steps and skips that you're going to be playing. So let's look at this very first line. You're going to be here in the treble clef. What I want you to do is I want you to play along as I say what's going to be happening here with the skips and steps. So because it's in the treble clef, this is middle C, and they want your first finger in your right hand to be on that middle C. So go ahead and get your hand ready. Now go ahead and play this middle C, and then we see that we're going from this line note to the very next space note, which is D. So there's going to be no skips. So go ahead and step from C to D. Then you're going back down to middle C. So play that middle C, and as you can see, we're going from middle C to the next line note. So now you're going to be skipping the D. So play middle C and then your third finger on the E. Okay, so we just played this E. We're going to go down one note. We're not going to be skipping anything. You're going to step down to the D with your second finger. And then no skips. You're going to step up to that third finger on the E. No skips. Step down to D on your second finger. Now you're going to be going from this space note to the very next space note, which means we're skipping the line note. So you'll play 2 on your D, go ahead and play that D, and then skip up to your fourth finger on the F. All right, so we just played from D to F, play that fourth finger on the F again. Now you're going to go down to the note directly below your F. No skips, just a step from your F, your fourth finger, to your third finger on the E. Okay, so your third finger's on the E. You're going from line to the very next line, so you're skipping. Play third finger E, fifth finger G. Then you're going to go to the very next note below it, to the F, no skips, so fourth finger on the F. And then you're going to go down to the next note, no skips, third finger on the E, and then back up to your fourth finger. Then you're going to skip down to the D, your second finger, and then first finger on middle C, the very next note, and then stay on that same note. All right, so now let's work through this exercise a little bit faster now. I'm only going to be saying step up or step down, or skip up or skip down. Let's see if that helps. So you're still on middle C with your first finger. You're going to step up to the D, step down to the C, skip up to the E, step down to the D, step up to the E, step down to the D, skip up to the F, step down to the E, skip up to the G, so now you're playing your fifth finger, step down to the F, step down to the E, step up to the F, skip down to the D, so you're playing your second finger on the D, and then step down to the C, and then the C. Okay, so on these exercises, you're going to go ahead and put your fifth finger on the C below middle C because it's in the bass clef, and that's where they want your left hand to be positioned for this steps and skips exercise, which is 2 lines. And then they're going to incorporate the grand staff here with the treble and bass clefs. Your left hand is going to start. This left hand, go ahead and put your fifth finger on the second G below middle C. That's where this G is. So your fifth finger on the second G below middle C. Now let's look ahead and see where they want our treble clef or right hand to be. And it's going to be every good boy deserves fudge. First finger on the first G above middle C. This hand position will remain constant for both of these lines. I don't know about you, but I think that this is probably one of the most overwhelming lessons so far in regards to how much you're having to learn and memorize. There's a lot of practice and patience that's needed for all the things that we just went over. What I'd like you to do is to work through pages 42 to 55 in your manual. Read through all of the instruction that they give you. Go over and over the different exercises so you just get very comfortable understanding what the notes are on the staff and where they are on the piano. Use your flashcards and just get that memorization going. Even if you're not able to sit down to the piano every day, I want you to look at your flashcards every day just to help you with that memorization that has to happen in order for you to be able to progress from this point on. What I also want you to do, because there's not a lot of hymn playing in the exercises that we're doing, I want you to go back in your manual and play through the hymns that you have already learned. They're not going to be incorporating all the concepts that you know up to this point, but it'll just give you a break from having to think about all of these things with the rhythms, the different notes and how they're named, what finger numbers you're going to be using. There's a lot that's going on right now. So go back and play the songs that you've learned up to this point, up to page 55 in your manual. So then we can then get more and more comfortable with moving on and moving forward with playing the hymns and playing more things on your keyboard.